I am a big fan of the Alien and Predator franchises, but I was never around when the movies originally came out, so I missed the experience of watching them in theaters. Sure, I was technically alive for Predators, Prometheus, and Covenant, but I was 4 when Predators came out, 6 when Prometheus came out, and Covenant's trailer was too scary for me. So when I heard Shane Black was making a Predator movie, I was excited. I thought Iron Man 3 was decent, and the Predator isn't that difficult a concept, so it should be great.
So that was a fucking lie.
Yeah, no, that movie was and still is ass. I had no hope. There would never be a good Predator or Alien movie again.
Just hook it to my veins!
While I won't be going through every scene in this movie, there will be lots of spoilers for what happens, so if you don't want that, either skip to this time on screen to see the score I give it, or go watch the movie right now. It's really good, I highly recommend doing so. Alright? Still here? Okay then, let's start. I love the characters, especially Naru and Tabe. Throughout the movie, we see Naru make up for her weaknesses in creative ways, and with her intelligence. She ties a rope to her hatchet so she doesn't have to keep running to retrieve it and leave herself defenseless. She notices that the Predator can't see the French trapper after she gives him the orange Tutsia, so she uses it to hide herself from it and surprise him when he drops its guard. She notices the Predator uses the red dots to aim its projectiles, and that without its helmet, its aim is subpar, so it uses its own technology to just kill it. Just like the original film, the Predator isn't beaten by guns or hand-to-hand combat, it's outsmarted by Dutch, and in this movie, it's outsmarted by Naru. Everyone has good chemistry together. This isn't a Marvel movie when the characters make jokes that are actually funny. I mean, I can't show it because all I have is trailer footage.
So that was a fucking lie.
The mom Aruka and the brother Tabe are also really good. They have good chemistry with Naru, and you can tell that they care about each other. The mom doesn't want Naru to go out and hunt, not because she's a woman, but because she's just not very good at it at that point in the movie. When Tabe and Naru are caught and used as bait by the French trappers, Tabe tells Naru that she has the skills needed to be a great hunter, she just needs to take the final step. And this isn't just pulled out of nowhere for a motivational speech. Earlier in the movie, when Naru, Tabe, and some other person are hunting down a mountain lion, it was Naru's plan that helped Tabe kill the mountain lion. Because even though Naru didn't kill the lion herself, she weakened it and Tabe used her plan to beat the lion. Now for the character of the Predator. Because yes, the Predator does actually have characterization in this movie. We spend a lot of time with the Predator. Not too much, just enough to characterize it against the other Predators we've seen in the franchise. It studies the world around it. In one of the first scenes with it, it's studying the animals of Earth. It studies a mouse eating an ant, and it studies the snake that then eats the mouse. And it doesn't attack the snake until the snake realizes the Predator is in its space and attacks it. Then it dies. Also a cool detail, the Predator is cloaked, but the snake realizes it's there, while the mouse and the ant didn't, because rattlesnakes have pit organs, which allow them to see heat, so it sees through the cloak. The Predator uses different levels of tech depending on what it's fighting. The snake and the wolf, it uses its hands and gauntlets. It wrestles the bear, and when it loses the wrestle, it dodges out of the bear's way, and I guess it punches it and then bleeds it out. For the other Comanche hunters that come to bring Naru back home, it uses its steel bolt caster in place of the usual plasma caster. It gauges how advanced the hunters are by sending a possum down their way to startle them, because it's a smart hunter just like them, and because of its weird honor system, it wants to know what to engage them with. Then it engages the other 2 Comanche hunters, this is in the same scene as the scene I just mentioned. It engages them with its spear, because they're using spears against it. Finally, against the French trappers, the most technologically advanced and largest group of enemies for the Predator to face, it just goes ham on them, using everything in its arsenal to kill them. I especially like how the more futuristic tech we usually see, like the gauntlet nuke and the plasma caster, are replaced with more old-school weaponry. Not really less techy, as the gauntlet bomb is replaced by tiny hover bombs that explode in a smaller radius. Technically more advanced than the gauntlet bomb because these float in the air. Now the Predator's face design is different, and its body is a darker color than the original Predator. Mostly, its mandibles are structured on its face differently, and they fold onto the sides rather than into the middle, like a Half-Life head crab. It's not a radical design change, it's the same level of different as the Berserker Predator from Predators. Now I want to talk about the most controversial scene in the film, and this is the end battle. This is because there are a lot of people confused about this scene. In the final battle, the Predator is ultimately killed by its own weapons. The steel barbs are redirected back at it through the targeting system in its helmet. A lot of people are upset about this since it just seems that the Predator forgot how its tech works. But that's not really what happens, because it doesn't know that the helmet is positioned there. That's the point of the scene. Naru wears it down, injuring it and overwhelming it. It's stuck in the mud just like Naru was. Its death wasn't an accident. It fell into Naru's trap. The helmet was positioned there because the Predator would, when trapped, resort to the only ranged weapon it has. Then it dies. Just because you're aware of the helmet doesn't mean that the Predator is. If I may remind you, it was shot point blank through the skull, hit repeatedly by a hatchet in the shoulder/the neck, bitten by a dog, sliced by wooden stakes, its arm completely cut off, its arm was sliced off and it didn't even flinch or scream, it just continued fighting, stabbed in the leg, its mandible ripped off and stabbed directly into its eye, so now it's also half blind, impaled in the knee, lassoed around the neck and pulled into a mud pit face first, and then, when he misses with his shot with the bolt caster, the helmet tracks the bolt into the back of his head, well I guess it's the front of his head now because he turns around, which he can't really dodge because he's stuck in the mud and has a really big head. Hope this explained that scene. It is dark, so I, someone who watched King of the Monsters in a Microsoft Surface Pro 7, understands the pain you must feel when you're not able to fully tell what's happening on screen. There are some things that I think could have been handled better. First, the CGI is sometimes not great. I didn't notice it on my first watch, but in certain scenes the CGI is kind of odd. Like the bear scene has weird CGI, which is understandable because a CGI bear is fighting a CGI invisible alien that has yellow shimmers sparking all over its body. It's not too bad, but it can actually be kind of hard to tell what's happening, especially in the part of that fight where the Predator kills the bear. And that's it for really all the things I didn't like. There are a bunch of cool details in this movie, like how the subtitles for the French trappers are all in French and not whatever language you're watching it in, because Naru doesn't understand French. There are a lot of Chekhov's gun moments that I didn't even realize were Chekhov's gunning me, that had a really satisfying feeling of payoff. Overall, I do feel that I am overstating the quality of this movie because of how long it's been since we've had a good Predator movie. So my opinion might change in the future, but for now, I'm gonna rate Prey a 9 out of 10. Go watch it now! Psst, Canadians, Prey is free on Disney+. You have no excuse not to watch it.